If you've clicked on this video, it's because you want to know the most underrated language learning tip, which near enough no one ever talks about, yet will literally get you fluent no matter what method you're using to learn a language. And it's really simple. If you look at any successful language learner across the world, across the internet, they all have one thing in common: obsession. They willingly put in hundreds, if not thousands of hours into learning a language all the way until they reached a really, really high level, and probably still continue to put in that much time even though they've reached a high level. But that's all well and good. How do you get yourself to the point where you're so obsessed, you're almost addicted to learning a language, such that you can do the same? Well, that's exactly what we're going to be talking about in this video. Hello everyone, I'm Will. I'm a PhD student. I come from a medical background, but I'm really interested in language learning. When I was 18, I started learning Mandarin Chinese and got fluent within roughly a year and a half. And on this channel, I share my learning experiences and how my journey with Mandarin has changed over time. So in this video, I'm going to be giving you 4 practical tips you can apply right now to get yourself so obsessed with the language that you're learning to the point where you don't really have to motivate yourself to do it anymore. It doesn't become the chore, the thing that you have to do every evening. It becomes something that you're really looking forward to when you get home from work or school. Let's get into it. So the first tip is interest. Now I know that sounds really simple, but the thing is, if you really think about what you're doing with language learning every day, most people are forcing themselves to do things that they just have no interest in at all. Now I admit there are some things that are really necessary, really efficient, that are probably not too interesting. For example, doing Anki. But on the other hand, if you are forcing yourself just to go through textbook content just for the sake of it, because that's how you've been told by everyone else that you should be learning a language, but you're not really enjoying it and you're not really motivated, that's when it becomes a bit of a problem. You need to find a way to make yourself interested in the language that you're learning. And I think the best way to do this is to find loads of content that you really enjoy watching that's at the right level for you and learn from that. So I want to tell you 2 stories here very briefly. When I was in secondary school, I learned Spanish for 5 years. We learned Spanish rigidly from the textbook, using all the exercises and audio from the textbook, and I came out of it knowing no Spanish. Well, that's a lie, but I could not speak a word of Spanish. Like, I knew a little bit, but I couldn't speak it at all. On the other hand, for Mandarin Chinese, in the 5 years that I've been learning Mandarin Chinese, I don't think I've ever touched a textbook. I know that sounds really an exaggeration, but to build up my whole vocabulary in Chinese, I never went through a systematic piece of learning material. Now, this isn't the same for everyone, and I'm not saying that everyone should do it like this, but if you're similar to me, you'll actually find that this self-guided learning, where you pick and choose the content that you're doing, that you're using as your language learning material based on your interests and also based on what you want to get out of it. So if you really want to learn real life daily expressions, then sometimes the content that you pick will really help with that. Tip number 1, just to summarize, use material that you're actually interested in to foster your obsession with the language. Tip number 2, positive feedback. Now, what does that mean? I want you to picture 2 different situations with language learning. The first is that you find yourself a really strict, harsh teacher, and every time you open your mouth to speak the language, before you even said anything, she's already saying, "Oh no, your pronunciation was not right," or "You've made a grammar mistake there." Do you think you're going to be really motivated after every lesson that you've done with that teacher? I would guess probably not. Now, what if I said the second story, which is when I was learning Mandarin, I spent loads, and I still do, loads of time hanging around with Chinese friends and just socializing in the language and really enjoying it and getting positive feedback. That is, that I was really enjoying my experiences with the language, such that I was starting to associate learning Mandarin and practicing Mandarin being something that's fun, something that's enjoyable and brings me positive, happy memories. Now, feedback is really important. I don't want to say that it's not and that you shouldn't be getting any feedback, but you need to be balancing it such that you get a lot of positive experiences with the language, a lot of positive feedback, and this is what will really motivate you to keep pushing you forward and make you obsessed and really want to dig deeper into the language. Tip number 3 is very similar to tip number 2, and that is to make language learning meaningful. If the language you're learning has no true meaning to you, you're not going to be able to stick at it, and you're certainly not going to be obsessed with it to the point where you can put in hundreds and thousands of hours. So you need to have associate some real meaning to the language. So that might be a person, that might be, I don't know, a novel or something that you really want to. So for example, if your other half is a native speaker of that language, that makes that language really, really meaningful to you, because you really want to be able to communicate with your other half and their family, for example. Or if you have, I don't know, a novel that you really, really like, that you want to read in the original language, that also for you could be something that's making that language really, really meaningful. Anyway, you need to kind of sit down and think, what's making this language meaningful? And sometimes that doesn't even have to be something that you know straight from the beginning. So for example, for me again, the meaning that I got from learning Chinese came with time. As I developed and fostered these friendships and relationships, that really, really gave language learning meaning for me, and also understanding the culture. Step number 4 is to celebrate the little wins in language learning. And this is something that a lot of people forget. Now, let me give you an analogy here. If you start exercising and you look at yourself in the mirror every day, then you're probably going to be quite disappointed, because you're not going to see many changes from a day-to-day basis. But if you shift your attention away from the overarching theme of what's going on with my weight, for example, if you're trying to lose weight, or your physique, if you're trying to get a better physique, start putting your attention on the little things that you're doing well. So for example, today I ate a bit healthier. I did my 5k run on the treadmill this morning. This week I've done a total of however many kilometers you've done on the treadmill. If you start focusing on these little things that you're doing on a day-to-day basis, rather than the actual results themselves, then you'll be a lot more motivated to keep on going. Now, it's exactly the same with language learning. So you need to reward yourself every time you learn a new word, for example, and you realize when you encountered it in a graded reader, or I don't know, a TV show, you realize that you understood it without any problem. That's a little win that you should be celebrating and being like, well done, you've done that well. Or if you've learned something new, a new phrase, and you manage to use it in conversation naturally, that's also a little win that you want to focus on. Because what you'll realize is that over the course of language learning, it's not really a straight line up. That's not how, you don't go like this, you go like this, and the general trend is going upwards. But on a day-to-day basis, you're going to sometimes feel really disappointed, sometimes feel really happy. So you need to find these little wins throughout all of this up and down to make yourself stay on track and feel motivated to keep on going. Guys, I've got some really big news for you. I've been working on a new 7-day email course that I can give you completely for free. You'll also get my 50 most common Chinese sentence starters and 30 most common sentence patterns PDFs, all within this course. And it will help you completely transform the way you learn Mandarin. I go through all the different methods that I've used to learn Mandarin over the years and share with you my top tip. If you want to sign up and receive this email course, all you need to do is go to the comments or go to the description and click on the link, or just scan the QR code that I'm showing you on the screen now. I'm really looking forward to seeing you in the email course. So that brings us to the end of this video. Thank you so much, guys. I really hope these tips have been useful for you. If you enjoy my videos, please subscribe to my channel, please like and comment. Thank you very much. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.